2 parents, 6 kids, 1 dog, a camper named Ruby, and a car named The Beast. Distance learning across the USA and interviewing interesting people we meet along the way. This is the Ruby Road Stage Tour Podcast. Hello, everybody. This is Carmen Ventrucci. Welcome to this episode of the Ruby Road Stage Tour. I am here with one of my favorite people, Marshall Sylver.
I'm flattered.
You should be.
No, I'm flattered. One of your favorite.
Should be.
You know a lot of people.
I know everyone.
So to be one of your favorites, that's awesome.
Yes. So Marshall is one of my mentors, and he is the greatest hypnotist of all time.
Yeah, if you don't believe that, just look at my press kit. It says so.
It does. It does. We are actually sitting in his theater, Certainty Theater in Carlsbad, California.
We're actually in my closet, but it's all black, so you can't tell the difference, so it won't matter.
It's a beautiful building. If you ever have the chance to get out here, you must see it. So, Marshall, I know you could talk about all sorts of topics.
Yes.
The stage is yours. What do you want to talk about today?
Certainty.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we're in Certainty Theater,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to talk about certainty. And certainty is the lack of doubt.
Mm-hmm.
It's the absence of doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And, right now we're in such uncertain times.
Mm-hmm.
We're in times where mainstream media, big tech,
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, Google, Twitter, that they want people to live in uncertainty because you can be controlled in uncertainty. When you are certain, when you take certain actions, when you live a certain life, when you have certain relationships and, you raise certain kids, you can't be controlled.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest challenge for everybody right now is fear. And it's that space of unknowingness. 2 things I want you to know. Number 1, become comfortable living in unknowingness. Become comfortable living in doubt. Become comfortable living in surrender.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean your power's taken away. What it means is that you cannot control the circumstance, and so you surrender to that. Attempting to control the uncontrollable puts you out of control. When you can surrender, when you realize, hey, God, it's in your hands. In any given moment, what happens is you stop the battle. And I think that's what's got to go on right now. Again, I love my life. I love my wife. I love my children. I love my friends. And, I have certain beliefs, although this is not a political conversation. I'm conservative. I'm a conservative kind of guy. I believe in God. I believe that people should have the ability to make their own choices. And my prayer would be that we can continue that. And right now we're in unstable, uncertain times. At the same time, moment by moment, this second while you're watching this, you can choose to be happy. You can choose to be loved. You can choose to enjoy friendship. You can choose to play cover your assets. You can choose to, just celebrate life and deal with what emerges. Because ultimately that's all you can do, is that you'll have to deal with whatever happens in any moment that it happens, except you don't have to deal with it until it happens. Living in the past is depression. You can't change what's already occurred in your life. I wish my head grew hair like my brothers. They all have Elvis Presley heads of hair. My head doesn't do that same thing. I'm guessing they pray, they wish they had my brains, because they don't. I have a different mind. I think in a different way than most people think. And so you've got to surrender. Living in the past is depression. Worrying about what's going to happen in the future, that's anxiety. You don't know what the future holds. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. And even if what happens in the future isn't what you wanted to have happened, you may discover that what happens is actually in your best interest.
Right.
It's actually better for you than what you were wanting to have happen. And you never know. And so, again, as a guy that loves God, and as a guy that surrenders to God and surrenders to perfection, so many times, I was married twice before my one true wife. And Lord knows nobody probably wants to go through a divorce. I, for one, am glad I went through a divorce twice, and really glad for the second one, which was particularly bad, because it makes me in any given moment be more grateful for my wife, be more grateful for Erica, my one true wife. And, our financial ups and downs occur. And sometimes people, especially now, the last 9-10 months have beaten the crap out of people financially in the midst of COVID in 2020. And I want you to know that 2021 and going forward will be the best, most prosperous times of your life. You will experience more financial prosperity than you've ever known. You must pivot. You got to change. It requires that you look at your life differently. It requires that you ponder and say, okay, how do I not get stuck in the place I got stuck in before again? and then celebrate life. You know, I know you and Drew and the family, which, by the way, we've been having so much fun spending time with your kids. My God, your kids are perfect. They're awesome. Your kids are just like my kids.
Yeah.
Just joyful and funny and kind and creative, and I've loved watching them play together.
And they're having so much fun together.
It's beautiful.
Yes, it is.
It's beautiful. And you guys are traveling around right now, you know, kind of living like vagabonds, like gypsies.
A little bit.
And how cool is that?
I'm so glad we did this. Yes, I love that you're talking about certainty. Going into this trip, there was a ton of uncertainty.
Of course.
And what if? However, if there's one thing that my husband Drew and I know, it's that we will figure it out. And we said, okay, things will come up. We'll figure it out. We're certain of that.
Well, and that's what I love about you guys. And you embrace the philosophy of what we teach at Certainty. Deal with what emerges.
Exactly.
Find our joy. You know, no, do not be a victim, be a victor.
Exactly.
And so many people, you know, they're getting frustrated. Oh, we need answers now. You'll get answers when you get answers. That's when you'll get answers. And everything happens for a reason, and it serves us. Everything in His time. And I mean that not just in a spiritual or a godly or a religious sense. His time would be the universe's time, certainly God's time, but the universe's time. You never get revealed anything before its time. And no amount of frustration, no amount of tears, no amount of anxiety or depression will shift time. Time flows as time flows. And I know again, I'm guilty. There are times when I've felt anxious. There are times when I have felt a bit of depression. Gosh, I wish I had done things differently. Except I'm reminded on a moment by moment basis that it doesn't change anything. And so what I need to do is, like in this moment, you and I get this moment together.
Yes.
We get this time during this broadcast, during this video, to just laugh and to enjoy each other's company and appreciate each other's friendship. And, you know, again, you've got an awesome husband and family. I've got an awesome wife and kids. And all I can think about is, you know, again, until my last breath, I just want to be grateful. So that's the next thing. You know, what topic do you want to speak on? Certainty. And then right behind certainty is gratitude, gratefulness. The rich do get richer. And the more we appreciate what we have, the more we get. And I think that most people don't take the time to say, hey, I've got eyes that see, I've got a hand that moves. You know, I've got friends that care about me. I ate today. I've got, nobody's dropping a bomb on my head. Thank God today. Because you got to look at life that way. And when you look at life that way, you'll find so many things to be grateful for. You'll lose the need for anxiety. Again, we don't know what tomorrow brings. And Lord knows this has been a 9 months, a year, 2020 has been, I never could have written this script in my life. Who could have?
You can't make this up.
No, it's impossible. It's crazy.
And so let's talk about gratitude a little more, because I feel it's often overlooked by a lot of people from a lot of walks of life. How do you practice gratitude?
The rich get richer. Okay. You know, sometimes when we think we're in hell, nothing is perfect. You know, we're thinking, oh my God, my life is horrible. It's hell, nothing's perfect. I pause, I breathe. That's the first thing I do to get myself centered always. I breathe. I take 3 breaths. It takes enough time to breathe 3 breaths to think.
Right.
And then I say, okay, if there was one thing perfect in my life, what would it be? And I look at my hand. And again, if you doubt or wonder about God, look at your hand. That mechanism, I mean, as simple as it seems, it's wondrous. You know, the ability for it to manipulate itself and move and hold things, it's a miracle. And so when I look at my hand, thank you, God, that I have a hand, I realize I'm looking at my hand. And I realize if I'm looking at my hand, I have eyes, and my eyes work. Right. So since in hell, nothing's perfect, if I notice my hand is perfect, and I notice my eyes are looking at my hand and they're perfect, then all of a sudden I realize I must not be in hell, because in hell, nothing is perfect. And so when you use the expression, when we say the words, the rich get richer, what that means is when we appreciate what we have, we get more. And so, you know, again, your kids came over. You have 7, and I want to acknowledge that you're handling 7 kids right now on your trip, which is amazing. And I have 3. And the first time you guys came over, your youngest was tired and a little bit rambunctious. And you guys came over a second time, and the second time I noticed how much your children are just like mine. and that you guys raise your kids the same way. You expect them to measure up.
Yes.
And not expecting people, adults, kids, other, politicians, anybody, not expecting people to measure up is an insult.
Right.
And when your kids came by the second time, and I just literally stood back and I was watching them, and I realized they are just like my kids. They're creative, they're funny, they're sweet. Your youngest, walks up to me and gives me the most amazing hug and cuddle and love, and she owns me.
Yep.
And
she's good at that.
Yeah, and it's good that she's good at that. Kids should be good at that. We should remember to be good at that. And all it takes is kindness. And again, kindness is gratitude.
Yes.
The ability to, give somebody a hug and be grateful you're in their presence and have them like themselves when they're near you. We think we're in a good relationship when we like ourselves when we're near somebody else. And so take the moment to let somebody else feel good about themselves when they're near you. And I guarantee you, everybody's life will be better. Your life will be better. Their life will be better. The world will be better. And we're in this thing together. And that's the biggest lesson that right now we've got to remember. No matter how crazy politics is, no matter how crazy the world is, no matter how much big tech or mainstream media pounds on us to believe things that aren't real, the one thing they cannot control is us.
Right.
We got this. And together we got this. And when we keep coming back and having these honest conversations, these honest communications that I don't believe the garbage they're feeding us. They're ramrodding down our throat right now. No, my neighbors are good people. My friends, they may think differently than I do on certain things. Ultimately, they're kind, and I don't have to share the exact opinion they share, but ultimately they love their children. I love my children. They do not want war. I do not want war.
We have more in common than we like to admit, or than we think we do sometimes.
Then we're allowed to admit. Then again, mainstream media and big tech and politics as usual want us to acknowledge, because when we are united, we cannot be controlled.
Correct.
And that's the thing. They do not want us united. They want us divided, because divided, we are controllable. Frightened, we are controllable. Filled with doubt, we are controllable. So be united, be filled with certainty, be grateful for the moment, and they will not control us. Ultimately, no matter what happens, we win. We win.
Love it. Let me rewind our conversation a little bit. There's one point you mentioned that made me think of something. I want to revisit it. If you're anxious about your past.
If you're depressed about your past, or anxious about your future.
Yes, I agree. Past can be a good feedback, though, because it teaches us to do something differently. It allows us to make mistakes and learn from them. And then something you always say, rehearse, review, revise. So you can change your actions in the future. I love that. How do you embrace that? How do you approach that?
I don't live in the past.
Okay.
Life will teach us lessons. The lessons will get harder until we've learned them. And we will know that we've learned our lesson when we finally change our actions. You keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same result.
Right.
And so key is to stop doing the same stupid thing. And I think that so many people don't recognize that. Again, my wife and anybody that knows me for a moment knows how much I love Erica. And anybody that knows me for a moment knows that she's the best decision I ever made in a whole lifetime. And I've made some decent decisions. And when I went through my previous marriage, my previous divorce, I said to God, I'm not doing this again. I don't want any more drama. So you tell me what I should be looking for, God. And he said just that. He said, look for no drama. Don't worry about what physical form this person shows up in. Old, young, fat, skinny, black, white, yellow, brown, doesn't matter. Just, I said, God, give me someone with zero drama. And, I always laugh because I think God is odd. And God works in odd ways.
God has a sense of humor.
Without a doubt.
Yes.
And so God, brought me somebody that I never would have thought I would have spent a life. Erica's 24 years younger than me, and I'm a really good hypnotist. And I never would have thought, though. I thought she was a date. I thought she was a fling. I thought she was a time. And early on, very quickly, I spent time with her, and I was smitten. And every moment I spent with her, I was more smitten. And I realized that she wasn't the form, the physical form, or the age, or the anything, and yet she's perfect. And so sometimes I want people to recognize and acknowledge, you want to make God laugh, tell God your plan for your life. And I think that, whether it's financial or whether it's relational or whether it's life's purpose, you don't know. And so you got to be willing to throw noodles against the wall. You got to be willing to say, okay, since I don't know, and clearly I've screwed it up and mucked it up so many times, maybe I'm looking in the wrong direction. And again, I got a best friend that beyond imagination. We've been together 14 years. Last 14 years of my life have been amazing. My 3 children, again, you watch them and they interact with your kids. My kids are like, they're perfect.
They are perfect. They're amazing.
They're just perfect.
I love them.
They're so polite. They're so kind. They're so conscious around other people, adults, kids, and everybody. And so all I believe is that there's a way for us to win this game that's different than how we're doing it, and it works. And so if you're not winning right now, if you're not getting the money that you want, if you're not getting the relationship and love that you want, if you're not getting the joy and self-satisfaction that you want, then you might have to do something that's counterintuitive. You might actually have to do something that you say, this could never work. And know that it wouldn't work, but do it anyway. Because what you're looking for is in a place you haven't looked yet. If you lost your keys, you're looking for your keys. Your keys are in a place you haven't looked. How do I know that? You haven't found them yet. And same thing with love, same thing with finance, is that, sometimes people work to make money and they never make money. It's because you weren't supposed to. You weren't in a time in your life where you were supposed to make money yet. You weren't doing something that added enough value to other people's lives. And so you got to keep throwing those noodles against the wall. Never be resentful of other people's successes. Never be angry that somebody else that's less than you, that works less than you, that's a worse person than you are, because they are. Never be resentful for their success, because ultimately it takes your energy away. And so, that's not me judging somebody else. That's me acknowledging, evil people succeed. They do on a level, but they're still evil. And at the end of the day, they have to live with themselves and sleep with themselves and wake up with themselves and be judged at the end of their lives. And so never, ever, 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 have any kind of anxiety or jealousness that somebody else that's evil is winning. No, they'll have to pay in the end.
Just surrender to it.
Yep.
Surrender to it.
Yep.
I love it. Surrender and certainty, they absolutely go together.
They do.
They do.
Yep.
Absolutely. Do you know I'm an international best-selling author?
Of course. I mean, look at you.
Do you know what I wrote about?
No.
Surrender and certainty.
Well, my God, you're brilliant. You're a
I am
genius.
brilliant.
And you have really cool friends.
I do have really cool friends. This guy right here. All right, Marshall, thank you so much.
You're welcome. What fun.
We enjoyed this interview. People will want more of you. Where can they find you?
Sylver.com, SYLVER.com.
Beautiful.
Come check me out. And, we got lots of virtual events going on in Certainty Theater coming up. So we'd love to have you at Turning Point. We'd love to have you at First Million. We'd love to see you at Irresistible Influence. And I'd love to be the man that helps you take your life to a more certain and more powerful place.
Wonderful. And I can personally vouch, Marshall puts on a wonderful show, both live in person and virtually, through the magics of the internets. All right, this is Carmen Ventrucci with the Ruby Road Stage Tour. Be sure to check us out at therubyroad.com and subscribe to our channel, The Ruby Road, at YouTube. Catch you in the next episode.
You never know what you're gonna get.
That's going in the outtakes right
Good.
there.
There you go.
All right, y'all set?
I'm ready.
All right.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us on this episode of the Ruby Road. Make sure to click that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and give us a thumbs up. Share it with your family and friends, and pray for our adventure.